Okay, hi folks, Cam Roberts here, and I'm joined with my good mate Steve Plummer. Hey Steve, how you going?
Hey Cam, good. How are you?
Very good.
All
Now
right,
here
and
we are.
welcome everyone to the broadcast. Great to see you again.
Here we are for another business broadcast, 12:30 on a Thursday, Steve. Today we're talking about lessons from the trenches, how to create a profitable short sales cycle system, and we're going to show the folks how to build that out in 4 simple steps. It's a mechanism or a system, and it's a very simple process. You don't need a 24-step funnel, Steve, which is great news for all the folks that are watching today.
Yeah, absolutely, Cam. And I think the other point too with funnels or with anything in marketing and business, we all have blind spots. Like I have blind spots in what I do. You have blind spots in what you do. And dear listener, you have blind spots in what you do as well, And so it's not about feeling that you're inadequate in any way. It's part of the human condition, right? In that every single one of us has blind spots in our business, and that's part of what we do. Is we, I guess, shine a torch on those blind spots to help it flow better and work better. And the 2 examples today are, like you said, the last couple of weeks, it's stuff that we've been working on to help businesses overcome the blind spots in these particular 2 funnels. So it's a really cool stuff today, Cam.
And the great thing about this, for those that are listening, Steve, is that it's not a complicated system. Like there's really only 4 parts to this. It's something that can be built very quickly. It's not like you need to develop a new website that takes a couple of months to develop. And the great thing about it also too, Steve, is that it gets you in conversations with people really, really quickly. I often talk to people about, there's a long cycle and a short cycle to closing a lead. And this short cycle process is designed to target people who are in the buying consideration stage. Like they're looking to have their problem solved right now. And you want to show up in such a way with your message and your marketing to solve that problem for them. So it's really just connecting 2 parties, someone that's got a problem and someone that can solve a problem, and getting them together really quickly so they can get an outcome for each other that's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, and I think the businesses that we've helped in the examples that we'll show, it was doing that because it was a blind spot for them. How do we go from A to B? And the example here, or the examples here, are I'd love to say, gosh, they're just so brilliant. They're just stupendously brilliant. But it's a mechanical process. And as we've said, it's a 4-step process. So let's dive into it, shall we, Cam?
Okay, great. Let me just share my screen, Steve, and just move it over to there. Modern technology at work. So how's that, Steve? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, that's looking good, and get him into presentation mode, and we're good to go. All righty. Looking forward to this, Cam, because this is live working now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Live working now, and we've been using processes like this, short sales cycles like this, for the last 2 years for our clients, and they work great for when you want to target and find people that are ready to get that problem solved now, Steve. So the 4 simple steps to a profitable short sales cycle, and it is data, and we're going to unpack that now. So the first case study that we're looking at is started off with Facebook. So it was a Facebook ad, and it went to a Facebook lead form. So we didn't have to build a landing page. We didn't have to build a funnel out. It was literally designing the Facebook, targeting the audience, getting the message right, getting the call to action right, getting the offer right. And it was literally a Facebook ad with about 6 lines of text. It had a video there that went for under a minute. And then it had a very small headline down the bottom, as you can see below there on the right of this one. And it was really about engagement and attention. That was the outcome of this ad. Not to convert a client, not to convert a sale, but actually to get attention and engagement. The reason we wanted attention and engagement was we know that drives the ads to go even better, to perform even better. So in this particular ad, what we did was pull out the big idea and pull out the results that our client had got in the past for their clients over the last 6 months. So in this particular case, their average return was 42.34% of the for client profits. So they're getting their clients 42.34% client profits back on their investments over the last 6 months. So we pulled that out as a big idea, got the client to do a video on that. And then as you can see, that particular ad, which is, as I'll show you on the next slide, has been running for about 8 weeks, has had over 119 comments on an ad. So that's a pretty good result from that particular ad, Steve.
Yeah, and I might just add that, Cam, that we aren't showing you the, for confidentiality purposes, the names of the businesses have been removed, and we always say test and measure. Well,
Yep.
this ad was tested, and it was one of those rare birds that was nailed first time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if only marketing was that simple every time, right? And sometimes you can jag it like that, where it just works beautifully.
Yeah. So in this particular case, that was one of those times where we had a great offer, great call to action, great ad, great targeting, and all the ducks lined up. So that was right, Steve. So let's look at the behind the scenes, or the behind the data of the ad, if you like. So this particular ad, it ran for, well, it's been running since May. We're currently recording this in June, towards the end of June. So just over 8 weeks. It's $36, $36.66 per contact. So as I said, someone lands on that, they see that ad, they click the ad to learn more, they flip over to a Facebook lead form so that they don't leave the Facebook platform, complete their name, email, and phone number and one other question, and then they go into the automation sequence. But in this particular case, we can see that we've had 217 contacts. So 217 people have put their hand up in 8 weeks. The average cost for each of those people to put their hand up and give us their name, email, phone number, and one other question was $36.66, which, by the way, if you're watching this and you're thinking, gee, I wonder if that's high or that's low, that's actually a really good conversion rate. That's a really good price per contact. Because what we're talking about here, we're not talking about people that have read an ad and downloaded an ebook, Steve, or read an ad and opted in for a webinar. Like, these people know they're going to be called by a salesperson to talk about that particular offer and opportunity. So people are putting their name down and they know exactly what they're being called for. What's interesting about this one, we always run them with Facebook and Instagram because Facebook owns Instagram, so you run them across the same ones at the same time. But if you look at that top right-hand corner, there's actually different areas that you can run your ads in. And in this particular case, we really focused on Facebook and Instagram in the ad split, and very, very minimal on audience network or messenger. So you can run ads to messenger, which pop up in people's messenger feed, and Facebook also has an audience network which shows up on other platforms and other sites across the internet. But what we find is that targeting and the cost per lead works a lot better and is a lot more economical, and you get a better result, ROI, if you just stick to Facebook ads. So this wasn't a branding campaign, Steve. We're not looking to, brand the business or brand the company. This was a targeted campaign looking for people that have got a problem. So we want to keep them on Facebook and have that short sales cycle happen very quickly.
Yeah, and just to finish up on that one, Cam, you mentioned it at the start, but I think it's worth just reiterating. Where in the buying cycle are people? And this is for people, who are, I suppose, to use the colloquialisms of marketing, were hot and heavy. They were ready or very close to wanting to buy again. All right, like I said, it wasn't just a simple download a checklist or an ebook or something like that. They were further along in that buying cycle, and it's important to understand that context. With regard to this and anything that you do. Correct.
Because as you know, Steve, the copywriting changes. Everything changes depending on where people are in the buying cycle. If they're in the consideration stage, it's a totally different ad. It's a totally different call to action. But in this particular point, they were right at that point where they wanted the opportunity. And so we targeted that, and we're finding those people. So we didn't know who they were on Facebook, and we still don't. The ad's still running. But, the way we designed the ad, the way we designed the video, the way we designed the campaign with a lead form instead of a landing page or a funnel worked beautifully and is still working great to this day. So let's look at the framework and the 4 steps to kind of how to, funnel this out and build it out in a very, very simple 4-step process. So I've just color-coded this, Steve, to show folks how to, all the different elements of how to build this out. So it starts over here on the left, and this particular campaign or case study for this short sales cycle started, as I said, with a Facebook ad. That ad had some great copy on there. It had a great video on there. It was targeting the right audience, and the right type of mechanisms were used. It then went to a Facebook lead form, so we intentionally kept them on Facebook, the platform they were already using, didn't take them off that platform. Grabbed their name, their email, their phone number, had a drop-down menu where they answered another question. As soon as that lead form was completed on Facebook, they get sent to a kind of a thank you page on Facebook, so they still stay on Facebook. But we use some back-end magic, some API work, and we put those contacts from Facebook into the client's CRM and into the CRM to track them and tag them so we know who they are. And we sent an email out to the contact and an SMS, and we also sent an email to the salesperson to follow them up. Now, the email to the salesperson gets the leads in the morning. They call up the leads for the day, have a 15-minute qualifier. So that first call is just to qualify that person to make sure they're ready and primed for the second call. So there's no talks about, what the opportunity is, how much it costs and all that. We just want to qualify them in that 15-minute call for the 30 to 45-minute strategy session, which is the two purple bits down there. So we've got the blue bits is the traffic. The green squares over here is the automation. The purple bits are the salesperson's job, or the salesperson's task, to follow them up and move them from 15-minute qualifier to 30 or 45-minute strategy session. Based on that strategy session, one of two things will happen. They'll either be a no sale or a sale. If they're a sale, then the business takes over and goes through their normal onboarding process. If it's a no sale, they go into a long-term nurture sequence. Now, I should mention, Steve, that all of this short sales cycle, literally, once it's built, is duplicatable and clients and contacts just go through it. But the speed of this is quite quick. So as soon as someone fills out this Facebook ad over here, it's not uncommon for them to anywhere from half an hour to 4 hours, depending on the salesperson and who else he's talking to through the day. The 35-minute strategy session is usually booked in within another 24 hours to 3 days, and then the sale can take place anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks after that point. But this particular process here is very, very quick, happens very fast, and that's the beauty of having a short sales cycle. It goes from ad to speaking to someone very, very quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think another comment to make too, Cam, is that, two things. Number one, you only ever sell to the next stage of the process, right? Notice the Facebook ad wasn't all the way down to, hey, buy something. Notice that it is a stepped process. So what's the next step of the process? So only ever sell to that next step of the process. And the other thing too, because it is both this and the next example are high ticket items, it involves talking to a person, a human being. And so there still is those hard face-to-face sales skills coming into play here. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah, that's a good point, Steve. So, we didn't try and sell a strategy session right at the front of this Facebook ad. It was just to learn more. So that's a really good pickup, Steve. Thanks for that. All right, so let's go on to the next one, case study number 2 on short sales cycle. Again, high ticket item, but this time, Steve, instead of using Facebook ads, we didn't have any ad cost whatsoever. In fact, we just used the power of email lists. So on this one, we want to educate the folks and inspire the folks that are watching this live and watching the training a little bit later to never underestimate the power of targeted messages to an email list. So this particular client that we both worked on, Steve, as you know, they started off with initially 24 blocks of land in rural Victoria, okay? And they had emails going out to agents, lists, and also their own list. And 4 weeks from launch, now they only have 4 blocks left. Now, Steve, you and I worked on this project together, and you were responsible for those targeted messages to the email list. Can you talk about those a little bit, and what made them so great that they went from having 25 blocks available to now only 4 weeks later only having 4 blocks available?
Yeah, sure, Cam. So probably the first thing is the landing page / sales page. When it got to us, it was very generic.
Yes, it was.
And there weren't really many reasons buy the land other than if you just happen upon it and you happen upon the right price kind of thing, you know. And so a lot of the rewrite was very much about pushing those emotional buttons other than price. Why else would you move to a regional area, you know, when you can enjoy all the benefits of a city? So we had to take the customer, the prospect rather, on that particular journey via the copy. So the first thing, Cam, as you know, we did is we rewrote the sales page, and then I guess there's another tip there, is always write your biggest piece first. So what's the sales killer, and write that first. And so once we were happy with that, the client was happy with that, and then it was a matter of creating the emails and the campaign. And again, you know, I'd love to say that, you know, the copy was pretty damn good. I think you would agree, Cam, on that particular sales. However, that being said, you know, the email sequence, I'd love to say it was absolutely the most brilliant, stupendous thing, but it simply did follow a simple gain, fear, loss kind of system that, you know, that's been done over and over again. So we didn't reinvent the wheel in terms of the processes, but it still was that same thing of send a targeted message to the right sort of people, send them to the next step. Now, the only purpose of those emails is the next step. The next step was to get them to that sales page, right? And then the sales page does that heavy lifting by the time they're ready to talk to, you know, to a live person. You know, again, email to live person talking, that's a tough sell. You're asking an email copy to do an awful lot. So we didn't do that. We just sold to the next step of the process. And again, high ticket item, but that has been very successful over the last few weeks, and this is happening now live.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, Steve, exactly the same process, right, as the first case study. The only thing we swapped out this time was the traffic at the front end. So you notice the blue parts, as we said, no Facebook ad, but this time we used email lists to other people's lists, that went to, as you said, a sales page or landing page, and that landing page was asking for people's name, email, and phone number, and it was very clear what they were getting themselves into as well, you know, by putting their name down on that sales page.
Yeah, and again, those people would be relatively ready to buy, right? They're actively looking, and if they weren't, then they're quickly actively looking. But again, it's just that next step of the process. So work out what that is, and that makes it a lot easier by the time you actually get to talk to someone.
Yeah, and again, the automation. So the green parts of this, Steve, the automation wasn't complicated. You know, it wasn't 240 emails in some crazy looking funnel. It was literally get them into the automation, tag them so we know who they are, email to the contact to confirm they filled out their details, email to the salesperson for them to call up. They had a sales call, number one. Number two, again, the two purple parts of the sales process, next meeting steps, which would go to a sale or no sale. And again, no sale meant they are still on our list for long-term nurturing. So
yeah, I mean, it's the similar, even though they are different, similar industries but different. This system could be applied to any different niche, right?
Yeah, consulting, coaching, training. You know, if you're an RTO, whatever it is, if you're selling courses. So high-end ticket items. It works really well.
Yep. Yeah, cool. All right, that's great, Cam.
Right, let me back out of that. Perfect. So there you go. So there we go. So that's a wrap, Steve. That's what we wanted to share with the folks today. Lessons from the trenches. And is there any last things you want to leave the folks with?
Look, if you just want to find out more about how you can work with Cam or I, just go to businessreinvented.com.au. That's businessreinvented.com.au, and there's an easy next step there to contact us and find out more. It's always fun to show things that are working right now in the trenches, Cam. So thanks for sharing that, and I look forward to seeing everyone next time.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Steve. See everyone.
Thanks, Cam.
Bye.